We up and I'm feeling like a new me. Stacking new sets, some new E. NFTs, all of them unique. Back in my zone like 2-3. All time high, hit a new peak. Let's go. Homie, the Bulls is back. I said the Bulls is back.
Yo, where the boom is at? I don't know. Better lose their hats, cause the news is that the Mad Bulls are back.
GM, welcome back to the channel. In this one, we're talking about BTC beta exposure, BRC20s, ordinals, and all that good stuff that is currently popping right off. So starting here with Bitcoin, as you can see on screen, over 40K now since the weekend, absolutely chatting on up, and you can feel the FOMO in the markets. But there is an alternative ecosystem here under Bitcoin that is starting to thrive and show real signs of life. So in this one, let's check it all out and make sure you do subscribe if you enjoy the content today. So a bit of a thesis behind this one from Res Degen here. The BRC20 Eco is the result of exhaustion and saturation in the EVM L1s and especially in the L2 space. And in a long time here, we have something that feels quite a bit different. And he says bullish on anything that uses native BTC. And we have the first movers, the likes of Mubi here, MultiBit, which we covered previously on the channel, which I really do like. BSSB, which brings about the first ordinals-based and native Bitcoin stablecoin to the market, and Ordi as the kind of market leader here for the ordinals narrative. And as he signs off here, higher, due to the fact this is a brand new narrative leveraging the strength of Bitcoin, and it does feel just like the right narrative to have exposure to. One of the key areas to have some exposure to in your portfolio this cycle. So the biggest beta play to Bitcoin via market cap is Stacks. They have a full ecosystem already out there and live. If you dive into their network, you have to use their network in order to access the various features they've got going on. They do have some ordinal stuff on there and a few marketplaces, but none of them have really got great traction, and mainly deep liquidity is missing as well from Stacks. But this one is listed absolutely everywhere. You can buy this on any exchange you can pretty much think of. So this is an easy one for institutions to probably ape into, big investors to chuck millions of dollars into as well. And it will of course do very well. We then have Ordi, which is leading the ordinals charge, which Binance listed over the summer, I think it was, just breached $1 billion in market cap. And this will act as a real bellwether for ordinals more broadly, as it is the most well-renowned ordinals on the market. And as you can see here, the chart is absolutely melting face. Some additional information on ordinals, that Ordi project there, they add value to BTC, as the writer of this article says, as you're creating Bitcoin-powered collectibles and NFTs. So rather than have to use side chains, you have them directly on the Bitcoin network. This of course has greatest security of all the chains out there. And what this will allow for is tokenization to occur. Like we saw in the previous cycle, ETH had its major NFT moment. But in terms of tokenizations of assets and adding very important artifacts or features to the blockchain, imagine doing that to BTC, the most secure of the chains. I think this is a real great use case for it. And so in many ways that will add a lot of value to BTC overall. And if we just think about collectibles as well, maybe they're just NFTs or different types of inscriptions, because you can put different kind of things onto the ordinals. Maybe what we will see is the next wave of digital artists become Bitcoin artists. So it does feel like the start of a brand new narrative here with these BRC20s and with these ordinals protocols. Now, big shout out to X Park for this one, putting together a little bit of a diagram showing the BRC20 finance ecosystem. So if you just take a step back and think of this as a brand new kind of alt chain, but built on top of Bitcoin. So think you might like Solana, you might like Avalanche, or whatever it may be. All the key components of any chain need to exist, even if it is for these ordinals and inscriptions. So as he says, number one here could be Ordi as the kind of main play, the biggest and first mover in the market. Second, then we have the bridge functionality, which will be provided by MultiBit with the Mubi token. We need stablecoins for any ecosystem to thrive. Now we have Bitcoin-backed stablecoins backed by actual native BTC, and also other tokens such as the Ordi token and Mubi as well. So the stablecoin aspect taken care of by BSSB. More on that in just a moment. We'll actually go through all of these in just a sec. Turt is the Launchpad. NHUB is the kind of NFT aggregator or ordinals aggregator, pulling across data from all the different markets and letting you buy in one place. Dova is then the lending facility, Liquidity on BRC20, and then port 3 is kind of the community aspect. A very much Web 2 feeling platform trying to bring people into Web 3. So let's just dive through these and see what they all offer to get an overview of the BRC20 finance eco. So port 3 here is the first one to bring up. Currently it doesn't have a token, not sure if they will have a token in the future, but they're bringing together all these different BRC20 projects together. As you can see here into the Satoshi verse, they previously run this kind of campaign here with TurtSat, MultiBit and NHUB. And they're essentially kind of a community layer through this app here called SoQuest, where you can get involved in various campaigns. Maybe that is just writing Twitter posts and using the relevant hashtag. So kind of viral marketing campaigns can be kicked off through here. For doing that and doing some work, you then get rewards, things such as whitelists, as you can see here, or airdrops, NFTs or crypto tokens. And they're starting to lean into the BRC20 narrative quite a bit. And they've helped in some way build the communities around some of these protocols we're talking about today. And overall, this means you build a Web3 identity for the users. And then this, of course, becomes an active and engaged group of people that any project can then tap into if needed. So they're using kind of Web2 campaigns to bring in Web3 users. I think this is quite a smart idea. And it's quite interesting to see that these BRC20s have gone down this route. Talking about BSSB here, so Bitstable, the first stablecoin built via Bitcoin. Very interesting stuff indeed. We know stablecoins are a huge narrative, but having a decentralized stablecoin backed by native Bitcoin sounds a rather juicy narrative. Here's the chart of BSSB here. As you can see, since its launch, it has been in up-only mode. Over this last weekend, a load of these tokens have really started to fly as this narrative has picked up a lot. So Doc was one of the first on this, and he put together a bit of a thread here on December 3rd. Bitstable has a dual token system, cross-chain compatible structure, and its tokens are DAI, just like DAI, the ETH stablecoin, and BSSB. So the DAI stablecoin derives its value and stability from the robustness of the Bitcoin ecosystem and its assets, including BRC20s, RSK, RGB, and Lightning Network. So it's going to be backed by a load of different assets, and this should, in theory, add to the stability of the underlying stablecoin, as you're not going to have, crazy fluctuations in all of them at the same time. That's kind of the theory behind this. And so having robustness in the backing and a variety of coins propping it up, there's the potential for this to be used across a range of financial products and services. So the utility of this could be absolutely massive. So you negate the issues around having the backing by just say one token, which could be highly volatile. Or if that were to blow up, this obviously would blow up the whole of this stablecoin. And by taking on native BTC, you will have a stablecoin asset that could be, in theory at least, given the thumbs up by the Bitcoin whales. Now he says phase 1 here, BRC20, the DAI module and Ordi to use the BRC20 assets for minting DAI stablecoins via the lock-in of Ordi and Mubi into the Bitstable protocol on the Bitcoin chain. So minted directly on top of BTC and then bridged across to ETH as an BRC20 token leveraging MultiBit. As he says, once on Ethereum, DAI can then be swapped into stablecoins like USDC or USDT, and the BSSB token works in via the mining and rewards. As he says, users bridge DAI back to Bitcoin for mining, earning rewards in BSSB, the BRC20 token. And so you can see some incentives for minting the stable. Phase 2 for RSK and RGB integration for enhanced smart contract functionality. This is to help introduce smart contract capabilities to DAI on the Bitcoin chain. Then into phase 3 down here with Taproot for more efficient and private DAI transaction. And so he concludes we're seeing Bitcoin ecosystem adoption by the institutions, already listed on Binance, DWF backing MultiBit, NGC Ventures also buying into the likes of BSSB. And so there's a clear narrative play around the ETF approval, Bitcoin having a big cycle, and the first movers in this ecosystem with strong fundamentals setting the stage for real adoption. Moving on, we have NHUB, or NHUB is the ticker, which aggregates BRC20s and NFTs. NFTs, as you can see here, directly on their website, aggregation, multiple purchases, and a marketplace. So what they're going to do is simplify the user experience for trading ordinals, BRC20s, by bringing them all together in one place. So having an aggregator. Currently there's fragmentation across OKX, which has been a big mover in this space, Unisat, Magic Eden, and also the Ordinals wallet. Some of these are very complex to use for new users as well. And as we know, most of liquidity in crypto is currently on ETH. And so having this platform enabled and usable by people in this one neat app will of course be a very good use case. The NHUB token as well. So 90% of the tokens were just airdropped to users, like 5% goes to the team and 5% I think it was to the ecosystem fund. And as you can see, this one was farmed. People got free tokens and it dumped. And over the weekend, it really started to tick up here and it's having some big pushes higher. How many times have we seen this with these kind of airdrop tokens? Market cap is just $2 million on this BRC20 aggregator. TurtSat is then the kind of launch pad for BRC20s. They've helped launch the likes of MultiBit and a few others as well. They are listed on CoinGecko as well, and that is at 1.7 pennies. Max supply is 1 billion, so this would put in a market cap of around $17 million FDV. On their website, it states build, donate, and impact Bitcoin ordinals. So they have these kind of whitelisting procedures. They've worked with Port 3 as an example of the kind of synergies between some of these different platforms. And then you would get whitelisted, come onto TurtSat, and then be able to buy or donate, which is essentially their way of doing an IDO for these new BRC20 tokens. They've obviously got a brief history here of things actually working and these IDOs going smoothly, so quite bullish on these guys as well. Then we have this kind of liquidity layer from Dova protocol here. So they're trying to facilitate liquidity between Bitcoin, the BRC20 network, and EVM. What they're going to try and move into is areas such as lending and borrowing. And so you can think of this as the potential money market coming to BRC20. They do utilize MultiBit's bridging functionality for the bridge between BRC20 and ERC20. So very interesting that I don't think this one can exist without MultiBit. And as you can see, this one has repriced nicely coming out of this weekend. Pretty much all of these tokens following a very similar pattern here with money flowing in here. Current market cap on Dova, 4.59 mil. Then we have MultiBit here, the first BRC20 compatible EVM bridge. Now these guys seem to be doing some epic stuff here and just continuing to build and ship products left, right, and center. And this is repricing quite quickly now after a brief consolidation over the previous couple of weeks. FDV on this is $60 million, as you can see. So we think the number one protocol in the area is Ordi at 1 billion. Maybe Mubi here with MultiBit can start to play a bit of catch up. That is the chart. This was the previous consolidation around the 2s. Over the weekend, we chopped up into the 4s. Now we're pushing up into the 6s and 7s here. So this thing having an absolutely epic run here off the back of this strong narrative. And what I've noticed with this, and the reason why I started to get really interested in this thing as well, was when they started to announce their staking opportunities. So this essentially is them teaming up with these other new BRC20s. And this is the previous one that has now finished, NHUB, that we just showed earlier. A load of the NHUB tokens were airdropped or given out to those who were staking Mubi. As you can see down here, a lot of people have just left their Mubi in here, even though it is closed now. And this meant a load of tokens flocked into this area to farm this reward token. This reminds me a lot of PancakeSwap back in 2021. Stake your PancakeSwap, the cake token, and receive a reward token in return. And that is a huge utility driver of the underlying asset here. In this case, it's now Mubi. And what I could see was if one of these projects that you stake and earn on absolutely bangs, well then there's going to be huge demand for the underlying token, similar to what we saw with PancakeSwap's cake. So now over the weekend, what happened was the second token that you can now stake and earn is BSSB. And as we saw the chart on that, it's pushed to like $2.30. And so the rewards people are getting for staking their Mubi tokens are very, very healthy. So this is going to mean more people flock into it because this is about to show itself as a bit of a money printer in this BRC20 area. And it can get you exposure to these new tokens that get on board. So this is the improvements they've made to their listing process here. Again, very bullish, so listen up. So these guys are providing the bridge between BRC20, no liquidity, and EVM. And so we want EVM liquidity onto the BRC20 network. So they provide a very important bridge here. But what they're saying is to list now onto MultiBit what they want is this. They're going to enhance their due diligence on these various projects to make sure they're incubating the best ones. Of course, that will help drive long-term value to the staking pools. But projects who want to list must stake Mubi LP in order to list. So this is going to fatten up the liquidity for the Mubi token on mainnet. Plus, a portion of their supply must be delegated to the Mubi staking program for our holders. So again, more value accrual coming to stakers of Mubi. They say this is just the start, but this will pave the way for a stronger and more battle-tested ecosystem. So they're saying, bring the best projects to us. Give our stakers a slice of the pie. This, of course, has a virtuous loop as well, because it means that investors like myself and others will also be holders then of these new tokens, and you actually foster a community around them, rather than what we've seen previously is all the team get all the tokens. No one gives a shit about the protocol at that point. You have to airdrop or at least give out a ton of tokens to a wide set of community members, and then people will actually gather around your protocol and actually cheerlead for it. So what we can see here is this is heating up very, very nicely. So as we can see, the BRC20 Ordinals narrative is very strong in the market. This, of course, is going to be a very BTC-centric bull run, and the institutions do want to come in and bid Bitcoin. Now, the trickle-down effect into the Bitcoin-based altcoins could be absolutely mind-blowing, as this is a brand new narrative with a lot of fresh participants coming in, and also potentially bringing in the liquidity of the biggest two chains, Bitcoin and ETH. That is where the major whales all play. So I'm very bullish on this overall crossover, bringing the liquidity from ETH into BRC20, and we can see how this ecosystem is starting to shape up. Now, of course, there's no guarantees in this market. Some of these projects could well go on to rug or just fail to actually develop like they wish to. But I do think it is wise to have at least some exposure into this narrative. As we can see, it's already really getting hot. Hope you enjoyed this one. Subscribe if you're new. See you in the next one. Peace.